All right, little update on the creek crawler here. Nothing is really going wrong, although it looks like devastation. I'll kind of talk about what I have going on. All right, so I had opted to put a 2-to-1 steering ratio here. It's a quickener, but when you reverse it, it ends up making it twice the torque, but a crap ton of spins at the steering wheel. Definitely helped to turn these 15 and a half wide ag tires. This isn't enough. So I had opted to put this quickener the way it was supposed to go, which is one rotation here. Means a lot of rotations here, which will turn this a lot faster. But I wanted a power steering setup. Now I'm getting one off of a Suzuki Tracker. A guy from down one of the southern states are gonna send it up for me and kind of showed him what I had going on. He seems pretty interested in it, so he's gonna help me out. Anyway, a couple updates. Got tired of hitting the choke over here, so I found a video on YouTube for a guy who used a couple Honda generator parts to make an auto choke. So all it really is just ignition key only. Turn this thing on, which is nice. The power steering pump setup that I have a M16 by 1.5 6AN fitting coming for that. I'm gonna run power steering lines all the way up to the Tracker power steering gear, which is exactly the same bolt configuration. That's why I'm going with it. And I looked, and it will handle the volume for this. Now they do sell a controller because this is CAN bus controlled as far as being a variable pressure motor. But whenever you just hook up the power and the ground and the trigger for the motor, I believe it goes into limp mode, which is 75% of the pressure that it can offer, which is going to be, I believe, somewhere around 850 to 900 psi. Plenty for this thing because it's not loaded down up front. I ended up going with a Willwood Master and getting that tied in to where it locks the front brakes. Something a little different. That was kind of a trial error issue that I remedied. So if y'all remember in some of my previous videos, I had this shaft coming down and then it was chain linked, and I still haven't cut that shaft out yet. But what drove the front and the rear drive shaft was this coming through and then dead stopping right here. But it was just that 12-tooth sprocket to that 12-tooth sprocket. Obviously you'll see a little bit of slack in there that's kind of purposeful. I ended up getting stuck on that hill in a rainstorm that y'all saw my buddy climb up in on this. So I designed this differently. Because these are lockable hubs, front and rear, this thing could technically be all the time getting the power from the engine, making it 2-wheel drive by unlocking these. But I never wanted to be stranded again like I was, because that chain broke. So I ended up making it a direct drive to the front diff. Now I could unlock the hubs, the axles would just spin, it would be in 2-wheel drive mode. But at least if the wheels to the back lost power, I could reverse out and limp it home by activating those two if I needed to. Also, you could just activate 4-wheel drive and it would crawl up just about anything. A couple other updates. I went with a really beefy drag link, ended up making that, had some extra parts here, put some front shocks on it. What else? Oh, I did the one-piece axles in the back. I took the backing plates off, cut around the backing plate, and put it in as a shim like it's supposed to be down there so it's properly spaced. I put a torque locker in the rear diff. So that is by USA Gear. It allows a one-click lock operation, and the whole back end is posi track until you let off the throttle. Aside from that, I let somebody ride this thing. They pulled up on the handle too much. Now I can't adjust the slide, so I have to cut the bolts off in order to remove that, but I need to do that anyway to paint this and get all that looking good. I have a pair of rear shocks come in. Actually, they're already here, just too lazy to put them on. And I put a cone filter on this guy. So, oh, and for this power steering system, it has to have a pretty high amperage producing charging system. Now, instead of running a pulley to the front crank to then power an alternator, which all that is just really bulky, honestly. I believe one of the go-kart places, Vegas Kart, they sell a charging system coil kit that's a 4-coil deal. You put it in, you have a voltage regulator, which is right there, and then it goes down here and everything just bolts in place. It's really nice. It comes with a new flywheel. It's about $150, but it turns it up to 18 amps. So the factory charging system was, I think, right at 1 amp, and it wouldn't actually charge the battery enough after you started it with the electric ignition switch, and over time it would actually kill the battery. So went with that option. There is about a 65 amp draw when this is at full lock and full speed. Obviously we're going to keep it in limp mode, so it just does that 75%, so hopefully it's not too much of a consistent draw, but I will find out before too long if that is going to be a problem, but hopefully not. Aside from that, nothing really new. This thing climbs just about anything you put in front of it, which is awesome. Oh, and this is a 0 PSI tire. Like, these things have no air in them, and that's how stiff they are and how light this thing is. So it does 10 miles an hour as verified by the Waze app. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Everything has basically stayed the same. I got rid of my L pipe deal here and just went with a straight shot out the back end, clean it up a little bit, and yeah. Anyway, I'll be getting that buttoned up soon and do a tutorial for the power steering part. And that can be used really for any other system. There were 2 at the salvage yard, and I pulled another one to use on my dad's 55 Chevy Bel Air, as long as I can convince him to spend an extra $200 for a power steering gear. I will hook him up with it. Anyway, ask any questions if y'all have any questions. And here are the part suppliers. All right, cool.